people and you yourself have to get in front of a lot of people. That's what I focus. I didn't focus so much on results in the beginning. I focused on trying to get experience, and then after the fact, I focused on results. You came into this business and you don't have a background that has to do with people and sales and management and leadership and all that. That's not your background. That's okay. How I built the company, how I built my organization. Hey, number one, I focus early on getting tons of experience, because you know what you have to do in the early stages? You need to get tons of experience. You need to get out in front of tons of clients, tons of potential recruits, get in front of people and do meetings, just experience. You need to get in front of a lot of people so you can experience all different types of personalities, because you're going to run into all kinds. Are you going to run into all kinds of this business? Have you noticed that yet, Pete? I mean, you name it, there's all kinds of people. If you don't have lots of experience with in different situations, you're going to have challenges. You're new people, and you yourself have to get in front of a lot of people. That's what I focus. I didn't focus so much on results in the beginning. I focused on trying to get experience, and then after the fact, I focused on results. The second thing I did was I focused on training people, hey, I believe in knowing how to close. You know, the only reason you lose people is they can't close. That's why you're thinking, well, it's this, and we don't have renewals and all that. That is not it. You lose them because they don't know how to get checks from people. And you know what? I found out if you don't get a check from somebody, you don't get paid in this company. So if you don't teach them how to get checks, they can't make money. If they can't make money, they get depressed. They think something's wrong with them, and then they quit. If they know how to get checks, they get money. They think they're great. They want to go do more of it, right? That's what happens. See, you know why people don't set up appointments? Is because they think there's about a 50, maybe a 40, 60 chance they're not going to be successful in that appointment. So they associate as going on an appointment and talking to somebody with intense pain. So they don't do it. If they knew what they were doing and they thought, well, there's an 80, 90% chance I'm going to do business, they would associate that with pleasure, so they would do a lot more of it. That's why we don't get people to do more. And we've been avoiding that fact for so long. I think it's so ridiculous that we've avoided that fact. That is absolutely, in the last 2 years, why our hierarchies continue to grow, because we weren't recruiting tons of people. You know that, right? And we did it because we could. Tim Callan, how long I've been teaching you how to close sales, right? Long time, since 1981, 1982, right? Before I even got in this doggone business. Yeah, but we're not a normal sales organization, because a lot of people are going, well, I hate them. I don't want them talking like that about. Hey, listen, we're not typical. We save people money. We reduce their costs. It's not sales in the traditional sense of the word, but nevertheless, it's still people have objections, and if you can't overcome the objections, you can't do business with them. If they have an objection like, it costs too much, or I want to talk to my agent, or if they have an objection like, I can't see myself selling, or I'm too busy, they don't want to get in. If you can't get your people to overcome those objections, you can't get them involved, either way, as a client or as a representative. So you better learn how to overcome those. Quit avoiding that. The other thing is, I focus on getting people to be tough. You see how I talk to you at the beginning? I talk to my people like that every chance I get, every day. I'm so direct, it's ridiculous. Man, I got to a point in the early stages that my RVPs that I have right now wanted to leave my office because I talk like this all the time. They got sick and tired of hearing me, so they went and opened up their own office. They didn't say that to me, but I know that was one of the reasons they left and opened their own office. That's great, because I'm going to keep saying it, because you need to hear it. Everyone needs to hear it. We keep running away from the truth. The problem is us. The problem isn't it or they. I focus on getting people to save money. Listen, one of the most catastrophic things that's happening to our company is people do not save money. You understand? You need to run your business like a business. One of the challenges that we have that most people that come to work with us have never been in a business. They've been employees. Probably 80, 90% of our people have always been employees. So they have no idea of how to run a business, okay? The only way you can run a business is if you show profit at the end of a year. If you don't show profit at the end of the year, you can't continue. And profit in our business is not how much you save. All the cash that's left over after you pay your bills from business expenses and your living expenses is your profit. That means your savings. If there are no savings at the end of the year, that means there is no profit. And if you have no profit, you're just a nightmare waiting to happen. That's all you are. You better start saving your money. You better get your people to save their money. If you want to keep your people long range, if you're not talking about saving money every breath, every meeting, you're doing the wrong thing, because, see, are they going to run into a bad 2 or 3 months? You absolutely. And if they have no cash, you don't understand that most people in this country, if they went out without a paycheck for 2 weeks, they'd be bankrupt. The majority of Americans in this country. And the sad fact is there's a lot of people in our company in the same situation. If you went without getting paid for a month, you'd be out of business. You know how ridiculous that is if you own a business? You should have reserves of 3, 6, 7 a year before you go buy a new car and a big house and all those things that don't do anything but make you depressed when you're all alone, right? Think about this. You buy one of those new Mercedes Benzes or something like that, and you have a bad month, and you go out in your garage and you look at that car, and all it represents is a debt and an obligation. It doesn't make you feel one bit good. It just makes you depressed is all it does. See, those things aren't good. They're good after you've made it. I have a Mercedes. I have all those things, but I also have a ton of cash saved too, and I saved a ton of cash before I did any of those things. I focused on teaching people the fundamentals. People need to be fundamentally sound. You know how Vince Lombardi always started every year? Gentlemen, this is a football. Isn't that right? That's how we started. This is a football. These are professional football players who have been playing football for all their life, probably 10, 15, sometimes 20 years since they were in grade school. And that's how we start with the fundamentals, because everything starts with that. If you are not fundamentally sound, if you don't know how cash value works and how bad it is and how term is better and how mutual funds work and how our smart loan program works and all the fundamental concepts that our business has to offer, and your people don't know them as well inside and out, you're never going to be as good as you could be. A lot of people are going to slip through the cracks. Teach them, get fundamentally sound. You know why we don't do that? It's because it's boring. We don't teach fundamentals because it's boring. Well, you know what? I don't know about you, but boring makes me a lot of money, all right? I focus on getting people to compete. Hey, listen, I have a Monday morning managers meeting. We have meetings, you know, this thing right here. I make sure all my people, these people are trying to kill each other right now. You don't think Rick Susie, Jorge Benitez is like can't sleep at night trying to beat Rick Susie, and Carl Habelhorst absolutely can't sleep trying to beat Benitez. I know that, and Verdun can't stand any one of them. Trying to beat him, right, George? He's working like crazy trying to beat him, and he should be trying to beat him. And look at these. Look, I mean, you know, we got competition going. That's good, healthy competition, not where they hate each other. I don't mean it like that. I mean, you know, they do anything for each other. Ask Pete was out there. These guys love each other, but at the same time, boy, they do everything they can to beat them. You need to have that kind of competition going, and you need to be part of the competition. I focused on getting people to come. You know how I did it? I'd call them up. I'd do stuff like this. I say, "Hey, George, how you doing, man? How's it going?" He said, "Oh, man, it's going great." I said, "Where you at?" Because that's I always ask. That's the first thing I always ask, "Where you at?" Because that's the only thing that matters. Where you at? Where you at means how much premium do you have in? Because you get paid on premium, all right? So where you at? I ask that, and he might say, "Man, I'm at 10,000. Oh, that's great, man. I just talked to Gary. He's at 15. He's at 16,000. Man, things are going so great. I'm so excited. I'll call you later. Bye." And he's going, oh, God. He's got an upset stomach. He hates me. But you know what he does? He goes to work. Right? And I still do that. I still do that. You know why? I know how that works. It affects me. Mike Sharp used to do that to me all the time. I used to hate it. But you know what? It made me become more successful. The problem is most of us run away from that feeling. You got to stop running away from that feeling of uncomfortableness. That uncomfortable feeling is a thing that makes us do what we don't want to do. That's our major challenge in life, is we can't get ourselves to do what we don't want to do. I focused on getting people, I'm putting on great meetings. I think you have to have great meetings. I think you have to work. If you're a leader, you have to spend time putting on great meetings. You have to get prepared. You can't just show up and wing it. You've got to have something of value so that when they come to that meeting, they go away with something that they can use later on, and they can feel like they had something of value, so they'll want to come back. See, the only way you get people to come back to your meetings is if you put on great meetings. Crappy meetings, you don't get people back. So if you're a leader and you're not working hard to put on great meetings, you're not going to get the number of people back that you need to get back. So you need to spend a lot of time, which means research and reading and getting better. And looking at everything you can as a way to help improve and benefit your business. I focused on building relationships and not superficial relationships either. Those people that I built with early, it's getting tougher because we're getting better. But I worked really hard at getting to know them, getting to know their wives, spending time with them, having them over for dinner, having potlucks, going to the beach together. Man, all kinds of stuff. I spent hours and hours and hours with these people in the early stages. On the phone, every time they were ready to quit, man, I was on the phone. Hey, George, man, just hang in there one more month, man. You're just on the urge. You're going to make it. Man, how many times we have conversations like that, George? All the time, right, in the early stages. Right now, he's the studies that need me to do that anymore. But, but in the early stages, you better build those strong relationships because people don't leave if they have great relations with you. They'll suffer through economic hardship if they feel that there's an emotional attachment, something that's stronger than money. Money's important, but I'm telling you, relationships are 10 times stronger. They know they can get through it. You need to get them to a point where they feel if they lose the relationship with you, that it's a loss to them, that they're losing something, that it's something of value. And if they feel that way, you'll retain people long range. You've got to get that going there. I focus on getting better every month. You know what I believe in is incremental growth. See, people don't just all of a sudden emerge into this super successful person. Even, Josip Povic, as great as he is right now, you know what? He was preparing before he got here. He was an athlete. He was a competitor. He was always trying to get better. He had developed habits that helped him here. Maybe he didn't understand his business, but he had been working on things that helped him here. Let's face it. He's a competitor, right? And most people, they do it over a long range period of time. Today, I started in business. I wasn't that good. I have one of my best friends here, Tim Callan. I don't see that much, but Tim saw me when I first got started in the jewelry business. Remember Tim right out of college? We're living in a 2-bedroom condominium with this gross, remember that shag carpet, that green lime shag carpet that you used to have to use a rake to rake? Remember that stuff? That's when I first met Tim, and we're in the jewelry business together. That's where I lived, and I was bad then. I worked, and he saw me. It was everything, every bit of the success I had today was because of tremendous persistence on incremental growth over a period of time, and that stuff compounded, and that's what you see today. As a result of that, no one makes it overnight. No one does. There's always things that lead up to that. If you came into this business and you don't have a background that has to do with people and sales and management and leadership and all that, that's not your background, that's okay. It's just going to take you a little longer. What does that have to do with anything? It's not how long, it's that you do it. Right? It's not how long. You might not do it in the time frame I did. You might do it faster. It may be longer. What's the difference? As long as it happens. And you keep focused on that long-range thing. That's the key ingredient. And you got to look at everybody like they can do it. I know how bad I was. I know how shy I was. I was the kind of person that if I was walking down a mall and I saw you coming towards me and you hadn't seen me yet, I would go into a store to avoid talking to you because I didn't know what to say to you. I still do that. The other night, I did it the other night. I reverted. I'm sorry, but I did. I was in the mall the other night with my wife, and I saw somebody, and I said, oh, God, what am I going to say? And then I went into it. I said, let's go in here real quick. I did it the other night. I still do it, but I fight it. I'm trying to get better at that. And everybody does it. It's incremental. You just got to try. You don't have to be perfect, man. None of us are perfect. I'm far from that, except that I'm always trying to get better. That's the focus. That needs to be the focus. And you need to look at it as a long-range thing. I think one of the tragedies that this country has today is companies today look at everything so short-range. This quarter. You have to do that, and I'm intense about that, except that you have to build for the long range. You got to try to get the results today, but you've got to build for the long range if you're going to be here 20 years from now, like I intend to be. Tracy, you're absolutely right. I am going to be here when everybody's tired and dead and gone. I manage my time hour by hour. I think one of the things that's really important is that you manage your time. You know how I did? I'll tell you exactly what I used to do. I didn't have this elaborate time management system, okay? This was my elaborate time management system. I believe this concept. I must do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. I've lived by that. That's how I live. I must do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. As a matter of fact, you ought to carry that in a thing in your pocket and put it on your desk and put it on your visor in your car so that you get in the habit of doing that. Because we have a tendency to waste time, right? As humans, we're just notorious for doing that. So what I would do is I have a day timer. I still have it, and it has hours from it starts, I think, at 8 o'clock in the morning and goes to like 9 o'clock at night. And what I would do is every hour I got in the habit of checking what I did the previous hour. So I'd look and I'd see, okay, an hour's gone by. It's now it's going to be 12 o'clock, and I'd look and see what did I do from 11 to 12. And if I was doing something to make my business grow, then I would go, good, okay, I just got to keep that going now. And if I screwed off that hour, and sometimes I did, like I said, I wasn't perfect, but I was really hard, then I'd go, okay, I'd start to get panicky, right? And I'd start to go, okay, I got to get going. I got to make a phone call. I got to call somebody. I got to call the guys at work. I got to call the team. And I'd get really nervous, and I'd get to work, and I'd start getting something going. And that way, I'd catch myself in the next hour, and I wouldn't let 2 or 3 hours go by and blow them, because you can't go back and recoup them. So I'd catch myself before I got out of hand, and a whole day went by. The problem we have is we let like 6 hours at a time go by. Our new reps let 3 days go by and 4 days go by because they don't manage their time. And we're all guilty of that at one point or another. If we're going to succeed like we plan on building a world-class organization, we need to get a handle on that. We need to be more productive all the time. Does that mean you don't have a family and a personal life? No, I'm not saying that. You fit that into your schedule. That's part of being a well-rounded, successful person. If that hour, you need to schedule an hour or two for your family in there, do it and get it done. That's part of your whole thing. That's okay. I'm just saying do something. Don't waste time. We don't have a lot of time, man. Time is going by. My son is going to go into high school next year. Man, he was born, remember, Tim, he was in the baby crib the other day, remember? He's going to be in high school next year. Man, time just goes, and we keep on wasting those hours. We can't do that if we're going to be all we want to be. I focused on totally on the long term. I think you have to make every decision based on the long term. Everything you do in your life, if you're not based on a long range, you're just looking for trouble. That's all you are. You're looking for trouble. You've got to make every decision based on how it's going to affect you, not this week or this month, but next year, and 3 years, and 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. Is that thing going to come back? I live by a thing that's really helped me. Every time I make a decision on anything, I always picture this in mind. If what I'm doing right now was to be printed in the local newspaper on the front page, would I be excited about this decision? Would I be proud of it? And if I can't answer absolutely yes, then I don't do it. That's a real simple way to keep yourself in check. And if it's yes, then I go ahead. That's easy, right? When you get in those situations where right? You know what to do. Do the right thing. I didn't take anything personal. You know what I find? People just crack me up, man. They take everything personal. Business doesn't care. Business only cares that you produce and make a profit. I don't know if those of you that haven't been in business, that's all that matters. And everything's said and done, if there's no profit, you're expendable. Quiet, huh? It's the truth. It's the way it is. That's not bad. That's not good. It's reality. That's what it is. And you can't take everything personal. All you need to do is work on you getting better. You cross your T's, dot your I's, and all that kind of stuff, and everything will work out. That's all you can do. Don't take anything personal. If you get slighted, let's say you thought you were supposed to get some recognition, you didn't. Well, darn, right? I mean, that's not the end of the world. That's what happened, all right? Don't take it personal. If just work on getting better. I was tolerant, very tolerant. I think that in order to be successful, especially in a group that's as diverse as this group, and you look at this group of individuals here, it's so diverse from different countries, different parts of the, geographically or different parts of the country. The culture in different parts of the country is a little bit different. The way people talk, the way that they think, their mentality, the way they think about us here in California, all that kind of stuff. If you're not tolerant, there's no way you're going to make it long range. All your people aren't going to be like you. You can't expect them to all be like you. Those dictatorial, authoritarian type of leaders cannot and will not make it long range. That doesn't work. If you were a dictator and you were over me, I would kill you. Okay? I don't like that. I don't like people telling me what to do and trying to mold me. All right? As long as I don't do anything illegal, unethical, immoral, leave me alone. All right? And I think, don't y'all feel that way, kind of? You'll admit to it, right? You really feel that way between your wife and you're by yourselves. That's how you feel, right? Well, that's how everybody feels. So don't try to impose your will on them. Make sure they there's certain guidelines we all have to work within. I understand there's parameters. We have to, there's laws and all that sort of thing. But they don't have to go to your church and talk like you and dress like you. All those things aren't important for you to be successful. And if you try to control them, you're going to lose them. You got to be more tolerant. Hey, listen, I did a lot of research early so that I could sell out. I think a lot of us aren't sold out totally yet. See, when I first got involved, the first thing I did is I went straight to the library. I got every piece of literature I could find on the subject of insurance and mutual funds and all that stuff. I read all the periodicals, Consumer Digest, all Consumer Reports, everything. The first book I ever read was Norman Dacey's What's Wrong with Your Life Insurance, the 1963 version. I read Ron Reynolds. I read everything I could get. And then I found out that what this company was teaching was the right concept. It was absolutely right. And I knew what the insurance industry was doing. They were saying we were bad. They were doing what Tim and I used to do to the wholesale jewelry industry. In the wholesale jewelry industry, I was in the retail jewelry business. We used to tell them, you don't want to go downtown and buy wholesale. You don't know what's going to happen. They might be at a business next week. And if you buy that, they might put a glass stone in there instead of a diamond. And we used to say all that stuff to them, just like they say it about us. Exactly. Why? And then what I would do, when it was my wife's birthday, or when it was our wife's birthday, we'd drive downtown, buy it wholesale, and give it to our wives. Just like that whole life industry tells us all about this term, and it's all they own in their own life is term insurance. It's the same thing. And I told Tim, I said, you can't believe this industry, Tim. It's a scam. They do it just like we do. The whole lifers are just like we are. But we just go tell them the truth. And you know what I got excited about this? I saw this as I didn't have to do that anymore. That's why I sold out. I said, man, I can tell exactly what I can be honest. I can get involved in something that's right. I don't have to walk in the back door. I don't have to, when I see them down the street, go, oh, I hope they didn't find out they could have bought it wholesale. I didn't have to do that anymore. That's what's so great about this thing. So I did a lot of research. You should too. I never swayed once I developed my system. Hey, listen, I've been doing exactly the same thing for 8 years. I have not changed one thing. I have been doing a Monday morning managers meeting from 9 to 11, a Tuesday night op meeting from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, and a Saturday morning training meeting now I do it from 8 to 10. I've been doing exactly the same thing. Plus, I do 2 fast start schools a year, 1 leadership retreat, and 1 major retreat in my hierarchy. I have not changed one thing in 8 years. Always the same. Same thing. Every Saturday we cover basically the same things. And people say, well, isn't it kind of boring? Yep, it's boring. But you know what? Our people know what the heck they're doing because repetition is the mother of learning, isn't it? Right? And I get to the point where they got it down cold. So when they get in front of a client, they don't go, they just go right into it. See? And you got to get them to that point. People don't want to do that either because it's boring and it's work. It involves work, Most people look at work like Dobie Gillis used to look at work. I always made sure my guys won, even if it cost me. This comes back to making long-term decisions. Sometimes, those situations where there's maybe a little commission conflict or something like that with your people, and you're trying to figure a way to get yours and maybe, take advantage of your new rep that doesn't know a lot. You better not do that. You better do what's right. If a situation arises, you better do what's right because you can never go back and fix that situation once you do it. Ever. If they ever feel that you take advantage of them in any way, shape, or form, you can never rectify that. That person, you might as well, they're gone. Mentally, they'll never be as loyal. They'll always question everything. And you can't run a successful organization if people are questioning you. If they're questioning your integrity and your character. If you have that situation, it's going to be an absolute uphill battle all the way. You've got to make sure they win. You lose a little in the short range, but you win long range because they produce more, they stay here, they're productive, they build you up when they're talking to other people. You've got to do that. Second year, 1985, listen, this is, I think, what made my career right here. In 1985, it was my second year in the business. In 1984, I worked in the retail jewelry business. I made a little over $50,000. I was in part-time in PFS. I made $18,000 part-time. So that year, I'd made just about $72,000 or $73,000 in 1984. I was 26 years old then, 27 years old. I went full-time on a rep contract, a 30% contract back then, and it was in 1985. And that year, I made $35,000 in 1985. And if anybody here pay your reimbursements out? I didn't make 35. I got paid 35. I made about 20 or 25. So my income went down from about 75 to 25. I had a $50,000 decrease, and I recruited more people. I got things going like you can. Not one person ever knew that I had that situation that I was in. Not one. Tim Callahan, did you know that? I hired you in 1985, right? There's not one person knew about my situation. I didn't talk to anybody about that. I didn't say, I can't believe my income's down. I said, man, every time I talk to somebody, I say, man, things are unbelievable. Man, I can't wait. Next year I'm going to make 100,000. Things are moving. Man, I just hired a good guy. He's going to be a stud. Every time I talk to anybody, it's how great it was. How incredible things were. That year, I talked to Rick Susie. You know, it took me almost 2 years to hire Rick Susie. In 1985, I was not making that much money. As a matter of fact, I was getting close to having to use my reserves, right? And I was, in that year, I'd call up Rick, and I'd say, I go, how you doing, Rick? And he said, oh, and he'd bitch and complain about his job, right? And he said, how you doing? I said, oh, I'm doing great, man. I just got promoted to district leader, man. I'm so excited. I just hired this new guy. It looks like he's going to be a stud. I can't believe it. I have my own business. It's so great to have your own business and not have a boss anymore, man. It's unbelievable. Hey, listen, anyways, I'll talk to you later. And then I'd get off the phone and I'd go, oh, God, how am I going to pay my rent this month? Oh, my God. You know, but I wouldn't let anybody know that. What is it? What do they need to know that for? Number one, if you let them know that, they're not going to join you, right? Number two, it's another damn business, okay? It is nobody's business but your own. All you got to do is, all I was focused on was long range, how I was going to get out of the situation. I knew if I focused on what the situation I was in, I could never get out of the situation. People that focus in the situation they're in don't get out of it because they're not looking forward. They're looking right here and they're running into walls. You got to look forward. I knew that it was going to get better. I realized, fortunately, at a fairly young age, that things do not stay the same. They either get better or they get worse depending on how you spend your time and the things you do with your time. So I knew that was the only thing I could control, so I controlled what I did. And I focused on the future, and I sold that like crazy, and I sold where we were going to go and what was going to happen and how big we were going to be. I used to have these little meetings. Remember, George? 5 people in my office, and I'd tell George, man, someday we're going to be the biggest thing ever. Everybody's going to know about us. I'll remember, Tim, all over the country, we're going to dominate this thing. I had 5 people in my meeting. It was ridiculous. I was broke. But I was looking at the future, and that's what you have to do right now. If you're struggling right now, you've got to look there. Where you're at now is temporary. It's not permanent. I stayed in the field a long time. I think it's a mistake. People get out of the field way too soon. I was in the field in 1987. I made $409,000, and I was in the field writing 10 plus sales a month every month. In 1988, I made $855,000. I was in the field 4 or 5 nights a week, writing 10 plus sales a month. I was making $70,000, $60,000, $80,000 a month in the field training greenies. And you might think, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, you don't have a business like me. Most of you don't have a business like me either. That's solid. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is nobody can train people as good as you can. And I understood that nobody in my organization could train them as good as I could. And I wanted to make sure I was out there physically talking to them, training them, building their confidence, educating them, making sure that they knew that they could do it, and me training them so that I would have a stronger base of trained people so that when I decided to get out of the field, I would be solid and I wouldn't have to go back again. See, most of us, we do it way too soon. We get out way too soon. It doesn't hurt me. I mean, it's 3 years later, right? I was right. For 5 years, I probably averaged 10 sales a month plus. Many months I wrote 15, 20. And they were all training sales. They weren't personal sales. You don't do training sales. You do training sales, not personal sales. That's how you get big. Stayed in the field a long time. I never stopped stressing the base shop. The last couple of years, the base shop, during that flush period and stuff, which was the most catastrophic thing ever in our company. I won't go into that. But the bottom line is that's over and we're in a great period. During that period, I never stopped stressing the base. We didn't have big bases. We had 10, the big base would be 12,000 that month, okay? But I never let up on stressing the base shop, knowing that it had to turn around or we were done, okay? So I did that, and then when things turned around, look what happened. Look at the base shops. We were primed, and all of you are going to have base shops like that. It's just you're a little bit behind because maybe you weren't focusing on it during that period of time when I was getting my people to focus on it. You're going to get back there. You're going to have big base shops like, you know, we're not different. Our group's not different. We just focus on some different things than a lot of you might have focused on, right? And now you're focusing on them, and you'll get it there. But you need to keep focusing. That can never, ever, you can never get out of the base shop, in my opinion. I mean, I don't foresee until I'm ready to basically. You understand how big some of the guys would be if they would have stayed in the base shop right now? It would be gigantic. It would be incredible. Well, I want to be that person. I never stopped learning. I'm a fanatic about personal development and self-improvement. You know, some people say, I don't like to read. You know, it's not my cup of tea. Well, learn to like to read. You know, I don't like to make phone calls and set up appointments either, but you got to do that, right? You don't make any sales. So learn to like it. Get good at it. The reason people don't like to read is because they're not good at reading because they didn't do much of it. It's not because they're not capable of being good at it. They haven't done enough of it to get good at it to like it. You have to do something a lot to like it. So get in the habit of liking it. Because see, you can compress your time frames. You can learn from people that have already done it and don't make the same mistakes, you know. I didn't want to wait till I was 55 before I got the clue, you know. I said, man, there's all these people that have written all these tremendous things. If I just use their information and I follow these principles, then I can, you know, compress my time frame and do it when I'm young, when I can enjoy myself instead of waiting until I'm 55. So that's what I did. And you know what? It works. Absolutely works. There's tons of information. There's no excuse for anybody not being successful in our country today with all the masses of information on being successful. It's next to impossible to not be successful in this country unless you're a bozo, okay? If you want to be, if you're serious about it. I modeled art. You know, I think you need to model somebody. You know, obviously my style is not quite like art, you know, but there's a lot of things that I used of arts that I thought were tremendous. One of the key things that I believe that was art's genius was his repetition. If you noticed, I don't know about you, I saw him for many years, and he said exactly the same thing every time he spoke. Every time. Now, see, I'm watching this. I didn't go, God, he always says the same thing. I said, this guy's worth $200, $300, $400, $500 million. He always says the same thing. There must be something to it. Right? That's how I looked at it. I didn't say, oh, he's just, you know, I was studying him. He was you know why? Because he knew the people that were here were already here. He was talking to that brand new greenie that was sitting in the audience and trying to massage his heart and get him going. So he kept saying the same things over and over and over and over and over again. Because he knew the heartbeat of our company is the new people coming in. And those are the people he was trying to get to, not the people that were already here. I don't care if I bore my old guys. I'm not concerned. They're already here. They're already making too much money. They can't go anywhere anyways, okay? I want the new guy to get there. Repetition, saying the same things. That's why I don't change things. That's why I keep doing the same things over and over. I got a machine going. It's working pretty good. I'm not going to change a lot of it. It's a waste. Well, I won't say that, okay? Sometimes it's a waste of time doing these talks because you know why? Because people are always looking for the easy way. Some easy way to make it. There is no easy way. Man, if there was an easy way, I would have found out. I've looked already, okay? All the books I read and stuff, there isn't. It's only incredible perseverance, hard work, focus, day in, day out, hour in, hour out, that sort of thing. Just, you know, when everybody's bored and tired and they want to go take time off, you're the person that keeps on humping it. You know, for those years, everybody would say, Hector, let's go do this. Let's go golfing. Let's go play tennis. Let's go. No, I can't do it, man. I got to get done what I got to get done. I can't do that stuff right now. That's the person that makes it, you know. So that's the only way you can make it. If there was another way, if you looked at one of the things that Joseph Polk just said is that you work's it. You'll find, if you look at my schedule, I mean, I work. That's my secret. I work, guys. I mean, you know what? I'm after it. I'm doing meetings. I'm doing something all the time. I'm going to try to create a momentum. You know, I've got a meeting Monday morning, a big meeting I'm planning. I did it. I coincided around this thing to take advantage of this situation. Man, I'm going to make it work for me. I'm always trying to look for something to make my business move. That's how I spend all my time. Even Jan and I, so we talk about what can we do to get this thing going? How can we get these people to see it better? Man, that preoccupies our entire life, almost. Hey, you need to spend time with your base shop, not your RVPs. You can't do nothing for your RVPs. You people that think you can do stuff for your RVPs, you're crazy. RVPs don't need you. They're already RVPs, unless they're those fake RVPs. You don't need to spend a lot. You need to spend some time, but not a lot. The most of your time needs to be with your base shop, setting an example for them, showing them how to do it. You know why people want to spend time with their RVPs? Because it's easy to do. It's comfortable. They got great relationships with them. It's hard to spend time with that new guy that you don't know very well and that you got to get to know, right? And then probably the chances are about 80% he's going to quit or she's going to quit, right? Those people are hard to build relationships with. But those are the people you have to build a business. If you keep reverting to what's easy, you're never going to get it going. I never tried to be one of the guys. Hey, listen, I'm not interested in being one of the guys. I don't want to be one of the guys. I want to be different. I want to be a leader. That's my decision. I chose to be a leader. Once I chose to be a leader, I gave up being one of the guys. Leaders aren't one of the guys. Art Williams was a great guy, but he was not one of the guys. He was the leader. No exception. You knew it. He knew it. Everybody knew it. You got to some point decide you're going to be the leader and stop being one of the guys. You step up above. You be more of everything, more excited, more motivated, more intense, tougher, everything, more. You can't be one of the guys. You have to be somebody that people want to emulate, want to be like. I created a haven. I never got caught up in the competition. Hey, listen, it doesn't matter what he's doing or she's doing or they are doing. It only matters what you're doing. You focus on you. You get here. If you're going this way and you look to the right, you get off course. You can't do that. Don't get caught up in the competition. I created a haven. I created an environment that's incredibly positive. I don't let people be negative in my organization. If you're negative, I will not talk to you. I don't like you. I don't want anything to do with you. I can't stand you. I don't like negativity. I can't stand it. Nothing wears my butt out more than people that are negative and are bitching and moaning and complaining. I can't stand. I personally can't. That is the most gross thing to me, and I just can't take it. Don't ever come complain to me. I don't want to hear your things. Okay. I stayed focused on the course. Most problems go away. Most things have nothing to do with you. It's pretty much self-explanatory. I just didn't get off. I never lost sight of the goal. I still haven't. Hey, listen, my goal is not even this year. My goal is like the year 2000 and the year 2005. What I'm doing right now is already happened because what I did the last 6 or 7 or 8 months or a year ago. Today's already done. I'm focused on the year 2000. I got some incredible goals for the year 2000. And by the year 2005, man, I'm embarrassed to tell them. Let me just end with this. You're the key, not your wife, not your mother, not your dad, not your upline. You have to be the person that decides you're going to make it. You and you alone. You get off by yourself before you leave this weekend. You get off with yourself, not with your spouse. You figure out if you're going to decide to make it or not make it, and then get to it. Man, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. It's so worth it. The way you feel about yourself, the way your family feels about you, it's incredible. I hope you all do it. Thank you very much.